Thank you for joining in. Here's our transformational talks. Thank you so much for being here. I would request everyone to please be on camera. The session for transformational talks the participants basically be awarded with an ICF 1 CCE unit as well as an IMC MDC. So people who are on camera for the next 60 minutes will be awarded with the certifications. Certifications will be released hopefully by Friday. So stay with us. And we have here our speaker for the day, and she is Faiza Sumbal. So I'd like to introduce her to this session so that she can take over the floor and present what she has to offer today to us. So Faiza Sumbal is an ICF ACC credentialed holder by the ICF. She holds a certification as NLP and emotional intelligence practitioner as well. She's a senior certified professional coach, SCPC of CTA. We're proud of that. And she is an EMCC accredited coach as well. She has completed the advanced coach training bespoke program, earning the prestigious EMCC Global Quality Award EQA at the practitioner level, covering 100 hours of advanced training. She has further honed her skills in completing a professional mentoring program approved by the International Mentoring Center. Furthermore, she is certified trainer professional from both Cambridge University, UK, and Arizona State University, New York. In addition, she holds a TEFL, Teaching of English as Foreign Language from Hunter College, New York, USA, along with numerous certifications in English language teaching and communication skills from the IBA LUMS ICD Institute of Career Development and Karachi University. Currently, Faiza serves as a consulting executive coach, a mindset-changing life coach, offering personalized coaching to both international and local clients. Her passion lies in helping individuals break through mindset barriers, guiding them towards effectively navigating life changes, challenges, and struggles. Wonderful, wonderful to have you here, Faiza. Thank you so much for being here, and the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, Said. It's Assalamu alaikum, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all my audience who are joining me from different parts of the world. I hope you can see me clearly and you can hear me clearly, all of you. I hope I'm audible to everybody. Okay, that's great, wonderful. I welcome you all today and thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my knowledge with you. And I would just say that Coach Transformation Academy is just like my second home. I have done all my trainings, my mentorship, my sessions through them. And as being a part of one of the alumni of CTA, it is a proud moment for me to speak here as a speaker for this transformational talk series. I'm deeply honored and humbled, and I thank CTA for giving me this opportunity. Thank you so much. So shall I share my screen and start with the presentation, or shall we wait for some more time? Said, what do you say?
We definitely need to start. Yes, it's my time.
Okay, so I will just share my screen, please. So today, my topic is the art of powerful questioning, from curiosity to clarity. And my name is I have already been introduced by Said. Thank you so much, Said, for giving such a great intro for me. Today, I'm going to talk about one of the cornerstone of coaching profession, and that is asking questions, not questions, but powerful questioning. How can we ask powerful questioning to make our session move from good to great? So let me give you a bird's eye view of what I'm going to talk about. Okay, so what is powerful questioning? We are going to talk about that. what exactly happens in powerful questioning. Then we have the architecture of powerful questions. Some of you might be wondering what exactly the architecture of powerful questioning, but there is a certain way these questions are carried out, which makes a question a powerful questions. So we are going to learn about that. Then we have the types of questions, then the benefits and outcomes of the powerful questions. Then we have the our learnings, definitely. And at the end, we'll be having our question and answer. As Saeed has already told, kindly park your questions for the end. We can discuss them. And if you are having questions, it might be answered during the session, you know. Sometimes that happens that when you come to the end, your questions are already answered. So let's move on. So is every question a powerful question? You know, I don't think so. Not every question is a powerful question. There are certain questions which are powerful. So let's reflect. What exactly is the powerful question? For that, I have the concept of powerful question, some conceptual definition. Powerful questions are open-ended and empower the person responding to choose the direction they take. Okay, so definitely they are empowering the person who hears that and open-ended, and they decide with the questions which direction are they going to take. Then they create possibilities and encourage discovery, deeper understanding, and new insights. So when we ask questions that make a client think about anything, that is a powerful questions. Okay, they are curious and non-judgmental as they ask further, they seek further learnings and connection. Now, being curious and non-judgmental, again, the cornerstones of coaching profession. The questions should be curious, a coach should be curious, and coach should be always non-judgment. Questions should always be non-judgment as well. So then what is the power? What exactly is the power of the powerful questioning? What happens? How these questions are built? What happens actually? So let's talk about that now. The architecture of powerful questions. Now here comes the interesting part, and the part which is going to benefit all of us, that how to build our questions and how we are going to take that in our coaching sessions. So number one is first dimension, which is the construction of a question. Then we have the scope of a question, and then we have the assumptions within the questions. Now I'm going to talk about them one by one and going to explain the concepts and how this thing works. So number one is the first dimension, the construction of the question. As the word says, the construction includes linguistics. The linguistic construction of a question can make a critical difference, either opening our minds or narrowing the possibilities. So this would be clear with this example. For example, the importance of words of the question, for example, is, are, am, do questions. They are close-ended questions. For example, I ask you, do you know how to drive? Yes, I do. No, I don't. Do you know how to cook? Yes, I do. No, I don't. Are you well? Yes, no. Okay. So there is no reflective process. If we ask these questions from our client, they would just answer in yes or no. But if we use the words interrogative, like who, what, which, when, where, and how questions, then our client goes into a reflective process and starts thinking. Let me share some examples. Are you satisfied with your working environment? What would be the answer? Yes, I am. No, I'm not. Okay, no reflective process. Very auto answers, you know, it comes automatically. But if I ask the question, when have you been most satisfied with your environment? Now the client would start thinking, okay, when was that time? What happened? What happened at that time that I was so satisfied about it? What is it about your working environment that makes you feel satisfied? You see, same question asked in different pattern makes so much difference, and it completely changes the answering of the clients. Last but not least, how can you make your working environment more satisfying for you? Now, this is the question which moves the client to the action part. He starts thinking, or she starts thinking, that how can I do this? This is a very powerful question, in fact. So I'm the issue is same. I'm focusing on environment, but I'm asked one question in four ways, and this is, we have learned how we can develop, or how we can take our client from one place to another place and give him a space, a coaching space, safe space to think about, whatever their issue is, and come up with the proper and potential good answers, opening up their mind and giving a solution to their problems. I hope this is clear to everybody. Okay, moving on. One more word, which is a why question. So when I have been trained, these questions, why questions, I was taught that they are not very preferable question. Now, what happens is that when you ask a client why questions, they become defensive or they feel blamed. For example, I give you an example. Why did you do that? Now, the court would say, I did not do anything. Why this happened? I don't know how that happened. Immediately, the client goes into a defensive mode and they feel blamed, and they would not open up. They would not give you a proper answer. So avoid asking why questions. Instead of that, you can use any number of words, which I have already mentioned in my slides in the beginning, which you can use to ask your questions. I have crafted one question, which was little difficult, but I have done it. I wonder, why didn't you take any steps to make your environment more satisfying? Even this I find a little bit blaming for the client. I would not find, I would not take this question in my session. I would not ask my client this kind of a question. I would rather focus on what, where, when, how, and who. All the interrogatives are there. The world is open with those question words, with those interrogatives. Moving on. Now I come to the second part. That is the dimension, the scope of the question. What do I mean by the scope of the question? Now, what happens is that it is important to keep in mind the effectiveness of the words that should match the scope of a question to our needs. For example, let me explain with the example. Okay, I'm talking to my client and I ask him or her, how can you manage your emotions? This is a question which I'm asking directly to the client. This is a self question and it is at a micro level. Okay, now what happens? I'm stretching this question now. How can you manage your work group? Okay, he or she can to some extent. Now, again, stretching. How can you manage your company? A client cannot talk about the company because client is there with you for his or her own problem. How can they manage the company? And next, the biggest level, and that is, how can you manage your economy? That is, we are moving from the client from micro to macro. So in order to keep our questions effective, um, can you please, somebody's mic is open. Can you please kindly mute your mic? Thank you. So it is important to tailor the question within the realistic boundaries of the topic client is talking about. So the question should be within those limits. You can never ask a client a question about the world, or about anything which is out his domain. You cannot do that. So this is the part 2 of the architecture of powerful questioning. Next, we come to the third part, which is the assumptions within the questions. Now, this is really important. We all, as human beings, have certain belief systems, certain value systems, and certain assumptions which are going on in us. And we should not bring those values, those assumptions to the coaching sessions. Now, let me explain it with an example. Okay, be aware of the assumptions in the question and use it appropriately for the client. For example, what did you do wrong and who was responsible? Instead of that, I would ask, what was your learning from the event and what options do you have now? In the first part, question A, what did you do wrong? The client would say, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. They would, completely refuse. And who was responsible? I was not responsible. Your questions are as if they sound you're blaming the client. Whereas the client has been through a certain incident or certain issue or certain problem, you can ask, what was your learning from the event? Immediately, the client would start thinking, oh, yes, this happened. This happened. This was my learning. What options do you see now? Again, choices open up. So, as a coach in the coaching space, it is very important for all of us that the belief system and the assumptions that we hold should stay with us. They should not come to the coaching session ever. Okay, so why? Because, and let's see, my question is to all the coaches is, what assumptions or beliefs I am holding that can that bring to the conversation we are having. Number two, how would I tackle this if I hold an entirely different belief system than my client? For example, I'm living in a certain place which has different belief systems, different values, different religion, and I'm talking to a client which is an international client who has a different belief system, who has a different religion, who come from a different ethnic background. How would I connect with him, not asking questions which brings up his belief system, or which challenges his belief system, or bring up my assumptions which brings to that element of to my coaching sessions that I find myself a biased coach or not a very a judgmental coach. Let's say that is a proper word. So we should always be not judgmental and should not bring our assumptions or belief system to the sessions. I hope this is clear enough to all. Because when we bring that assumptions or belief system, clients, they do not answer well, they do not open up, and they do not talk about the possibilities, about the issues or the problems or the choices that they have. So these are the three assumptions. These are the three dimensions of the architecture of powerful questioning. That is, number one is the linguistics, the construction, then the scope, and then the assumptions, which we should not bring ever to the coaching session. So the key takeaway, by understanding and consciously considering the three dimensions, we can increase the power of the questions as a result, increase our ability to generate deep reflective insights within our clients. So this is the architecture of powerful questioning. Moving on, I come to the types of questions. Now there are a number of questions which we ask. Everybody has their own style. Everybody has their own pattern. Everybody has their own set of questions. So I'm just sharing some questions which I think are mostly used by coaches in their sessions. So let's see. Number one, open versus closed questions. I have already discussed this. Closed-end questions are is, are, am, or do. They start with these words. And open-ended are, which starts with interrogatives. What, who, how, where, all those questions which empower the recipient. Next, we have the leading versus curious questions. Now, what happens in leading questions is that you kind of give little bit suggestion to the client. You nudge the client in one direction. For example, don't you think you should have done this or that? Don't you think you should have done X, Y, Z? Now, client might be thinking of something else, but when you say that, client moves his focus from here to this point. Now, this is your map of world, but this is your client's map of world. So the questions should not be leading. Questions should be curious. For example, so what are your possible options? What are your possible choices? Now, immediately the reflective process would start. So questions should always be curious questions. Next, we have scale questions. Now, I use these scale questions a lot in my sessions. And when we rate, from 1 to 10, from the scale of 1 to 10. So where do you rate your problem? At point 3. Where do you want to reach? Point 8. How would you do that? Where do you stand? Where does your goal lie? At 8 point, at 9 point. So we kind of rate the client's goal, client's solution, client's problem on a certain scale, and we lead them through questions. We take them rather from that point to the point where they want to reach. These are the scale questions. Next, we have hypothetical questions, what if questions. Now, these questions are when we take client to, kind of in the future. They're future oriented questions. For example, we ask the client to think from a different perspective. What if, what would happen if you wake up tomorrow and you find that you have lots of money in your bank account? What would happen if you wake up tomorrow and you think you are healthy and you have no issues, you are playing with your kids and all that? What would you need to do if you want to accomplish this goal faster or in future? So when you ask what if questions, you take the client from one point into the future, futuristic thought process, so that their thought process goes into that way, and they come up with certain choices, some points or something which make them to that area. Next, we have informational versus reflective questions. Informational questions are all those questions with which we kickstart our sessions. So tell me, what do you want to talk about? What happened? What is you want to focus in my session today, in your session today? What is it you want to talk about? So these are informational questions. Reflective questions are all those questions starting with the interrogatives where we say that the reflective process of the thought process of the clients would start. That are all reflective questions. They could be any question. It's your style, it's your call, how you ask question, how you make reflective question, and how you take a client from present to a reflective mode, make them think, really think. Next, I have miracle question. Now, miracle questions are those questions which are the questions which is the turning point of a client. They are the aha moments. How? Because you take the client that to the phase or to the place where the problem is gone and it is solved. For example, my client says, I want to lose 10 kg. I would ask her, can you imagine what would you feel? How would you think? How would you act if you have lost 10 kg and you are fitting into your smaller jeans? Now, immediately my client would, be happy, and he or she would go into that mode, and they start thinking like that, because these are the somewhat solution oriented questions. When we ask them to visualize, how would they feel, how would they act, how would they smell, how would they, what would they do, how would they reward? These are all the miracle questions. I will just share a few examples with you. What would change if you wake up tomorrow and accomplish and find that you have accomplished your goal? How would you feel if you fit in the size too smaller of your jeans? And how would the day look like if your problem disappears altogether? Immediately, my client would be very happy, because even by talking or asking this question as a coach, I feel very happy that my client has come to a space where there is no problem, there is no issue, and his or her goal is already achieved. So these are the aha questions. I call them miracle questions. Solution focused questions. Now, solution focused questions are those questions when you move your client from negative to positive. For example, so what do you need to change to have XYZ? What skills, what sources, what strengths do you need to reach your goal? What capabilities you require to have your goal, to reach certain point, to overcome your solutions? So basically, these are the strengths, these are the resources, these are the skills, these are the talents, or these are the competencies, 5 words on which you focus. So you move the client from problem to solution. You immediately bring the client from negative to positive. If you say, I'm very depressed, so how can you replace that? What word would you use to replace word depressed? Which word would help you? I'm empowered. Immediately, the body language changes of the client. So these solution focused questions are also very powerful questions. And I personally have seen that they suddenly, brings a turning point for the client. And the scenario or the space of the coaching space, it changes when you ask solution focused questions. Next, we have the multiple layered questions. Now, I would like to share here my experience. When I started coaching, I used to ask a lot of questions in one sentence. Where did you go? What happened when you went there? How did you go? And what was going on? Now, I have asked 4 questions in one sentence. And you know what happened? At the end, my client would ask, so what was the question? And I was lost too. Oh, what was the question? Because I've asked 4 questions in one sentence. Please don't do that. No layering of questions, no layering, never, ever, ever. Now I've learned the art to ask one question at one time and, give space to my client. And definitely do remember the question as well, please, because, at the end of the day, they might be asking you, can you repeat the question? Because they might be in some thought processes and they would ask you, what question was that? And if you are also lost in your thought process, then you can imagine what would happen to the session. Okay, so next we come to a coaching habit book by Michael B. Stainer, in which he talks about his powerful question system. It's a good read. If you can find this book, I would suggest all of my audience to go through it. It talks about number of questions. So let's see, what does he talk about? Number 1 is the kickstart question. So what's on your mind? Number 1 question. We always ask this, but we have different words for it. Number 2, the awe question. And what else? Okay, what else? Okay, I heard you. What do you want to share more? What else? And so, we are asking the client to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. We are exploring. Next is the focus question. What is the real challenge here for you? Next, the foundation question. What do you want? That is the goal, definitely. The lazy question, how can I help you? Or what do you want from me? The strategic question, if you say yes to this, what must you say no to? And the last one is the learning question. What was the most useful or most valuable here for you? If you see, the list of these questions are also very powerful questions. They can also be used in the coaching sessions. So I would suggest to my audience to get hold of this book. It's really good. It's really good. Okay, so moving on. Now I have a small clip for you, which I've taken from the YouTube. It's a very interesting one. It also tells about some different questions.
The way we engage in a conversation can make it effective as a vehicle for better understanding ourselves, the other person, and whatever we are talking about. We can help create an effective conversation by remembering to ask powerful questions rather than only stating our opinion or telling people what to do. To develop our willingness to step into the less certain conversational space of asking people questions rather than telling them what to do, the quality of our questions becomes crucial. This model presents 8 types of powerful questions. Let's look at them individually. A clarifying question can make things more apparent. What do you mean when you say XYZ? Probing can help to get beneath the initial answers. Could you elaborate on that? An evocative question brings memories and emotions to mind. How would you feel if you could achieve that goal? An empowering question can help a person realize their capability to overcome a challenge. If you had the confidence to do that, what would it feel like? A discovery question aims to have the person generate ideas and possibilities. What might some options be? A learning type question helps the other person to reflect on the insights that may come from something they have experienced. What are some things that you might do differently in a situation like this in the future? The challenge type question aims to address directly something in what the other person is saying or not saying that might help them generate insight into themselves and their situation. Where does that thought come from? These can be quite provocative and should be used with care, probably mostly when the other person trusts you. The last of the question types is analytical and systems-based. This type helps the person to step back from the situation and to adopt a bigger picture view. What are the underlying causes of the situation you're describing? Utilising these question types can help advance the conversation. Not every question type is suitable for every conversation. Understanding the effect a question can have on the other person helps in framing good questions. For example, in a bullying situation, empowering questions reminding individuals of their internal resources might be more effective than evocative questions that recall negative emotions. At first, it may be challenging to recall and use the question types in a conversation. With growing confidence, you'll create safe communication spaces and effectively monitor others' emotions and reactions. This empowers you to employ various question types and model philosophies suitable for the conversation's intention, environment, relationship, and desired outcome. Remember, there's no single best question, but your aim is to contribute to a genuine, insightful conversation. How do you know if it's working? Over time, you'll find yourself being more intentional in understanding the other person's perspective and constructing powerful questions.
I hope my audience has found this YouTube link powerful as well. It leads to good questions, it's still good questions. Okay, let's move on. You've asked a question. You've asked a powerful question from the client. What happens next? Would you be talking? Tuk, 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 tuk. No, you would not be talking. Silence. That is the requirement from you as a coach in the coaching space. I know silence is uncomfortable, and as humans, we have a tendency to, to fill it. But it is the place where the client processes things. It is a place which brings clarity. It is the place of self-discovery. It is the place of self-awareness for the client. It bridges the gap to infinite possibilities for the client and unlocks the intuition and true potential of the client. So silence is very important. And sorry, I think chat has come up. How do I say remove that? Please, can you help me with that?
Do you see it now?
This chat has come up. Please, can you just help me to remove that?
Just looking at it for a moment. Do you see it now?
Yeah, it still is on my window, and I'm unable to move my cursor. Shall I just click? I don't want to, go back to the slides again, what I have covered already.
Right, you may proceed then.
Okay. So silence is never empty. It actually, this window is, taking away the impact of my slide actually. So I'm unable to, if I just escape and I just click here and I start again. Okay. So, okay. Yeah, that's better. So I was saying that silence is never empty. Silence is the magic which makes our listens to ourselves and the world around us. So always give this space to the client, the safe space, the space of self-discovery, the space of self-awareness, which brings clarity to the client, which brings clarity to his mind, so that they move into infinite possibilities awareness and unlocks their intuition or true potential. The key takeaway is a powerful question often gets you thinking about it too. As a coach, it is easier to find yourself not paying attention to the other person. So instead, focus on the thoughts in your heads as well. Stay with the client. Do not move here and there in your thought process. Verbal and non-verbal cues. Focus on the non-verbal cues as well. And what is this? This picture is very cute and I really like it. And that is practice self-restraint. Try to, get hold of your mind, not to talk or not to say anything. So no matter how obvious the right answer is to you, it is client space to answer that. It's not your call. It's not your space. It's the client space. Let him answer. Let him come up with the answer, the solution to his limiting beliefs, to his blocks, to his whatever the problem he has come to you for coaching. Now we come to the benefits and outcomes of powerful questioning. Number one, stimulate reflective conversation. We have discussed that already. Generates curiosity in the listener, definitely does. Is thought-provoking for better understanding of the client. Invites creativity and new possibilities. Generate energy and forward movement. That is the crux of coaching. Forward movement. We focus on future. We move client forward. Help people find their inner purpose. Evokes more questions. Last but not least, help people see and remove the roadblocks in their way. That is why a client is here with you. That is why you have your coaching session. That is why they come and talk to you and discuss their issues, their problems, or anything, which is stuck or which is stopping them to move forward. Okay, now session is done. End result of a power pack coaching session. You have done a great session. You have moved from a good coaching session to a great coaching session. You have, as a coach, you're increased your capabilities from good to great coach, and you have done a great job. What is the expectation? What have you done with the coach, with the client as a coach? And that is, you have added value. You have empowered your client by breaking through the mindset barriers to reach out to their true potential. That is what your powerful questions have done. They are so important to your session. They add value and they empower your client for future movement, for moving forward. And we come to the point where you would like to celebrate yourself and you like to celebrate the client's success as well. You should reward yourself as a coach. You should ask your client, how would they reward themselves once the goal is done? Once they have achieved their goal, once they have achieved their objective, once they have overcome the problem, once they have overcome the difficulties that which they came to you. So they must celebrate and reward themselves. Now, what happens psychologically as well, when somebody rewards themselves after getting or doing something, achieving some goal, and a message goes to the brain that, oh, I have done that, oh, that's wonderful, so I will do it again, I will do it again, and I will do it again. So that creates a pattern in your subconscious mind, and you're open to possibilities, to opportunities, to different ways, and you keep on growing and building and developing. So with this, my friends, I have come to the last slide, which is the learning outcome. Learning and improvement is a process, not a destination, and it should be ongoing regardless of your level or experience. Either you're expiring coach, or either you are a experienced coach. Learning should never stop. Practice makes the man perfect, and powerful questions is the right key to unlock clients' true potential. So with this, I thank all of you for your time, for your energy that you have taken out from your busy schedules and have come here, listened to me, given me your attention. I thank you all. Now I give the stage to Saeed, and if there are any questions, I would love to answer them. But I have a little bonus gift for my Audience, is that okay if I move on to the slide, the last slide, Said? Can you share my LinkedIn and email or WhatsApp number in the group on the chat, please?
Certainly, we share it.
All right, thank you. So I have come up with this powerful question slide, which is a small bonus, a small gift from me to my audience who have come here and joined me today. And you can use them in your coaching sessions. I'll share the PDF with Said, and you can share them with the audience who have joined here today. They are wonderful questions. If you go through them, you can use them as you feel like in your coaching sessions, in the awareness, in the actions or accountability, whatever you feel like. It's a wonderful set of questions that you can use. So with this, I think I would now stay quiet and allow my audience to come up with any questions if they have. Okay, Ji, thank you so much.
Thank you, Faiza, for this wonderful presentation. So we can have questions now if anybody
Shall I
has.
stop sharing my
Screen? Yes.
Yes, please.
Absolutely. I see Hamza, who's raised his hand. Please go ahead, Hamza.
Thank you, Saeed. Thank you, Faiza, for the presentation. It's always great to have new perspectives. And at the beginning, you were speaking about questions that open and others that narrow. But I think we didn't speak about the one that narrow.
The
The
one
thinking of a client.
The one that not open up, right? You want to say
Yeah,
that?
the one that narrow, because sometimes you have clients that can be everywhere. And as a coach, we need to bring back to a specific place to be able to keep moving, forward.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So it depends how you take the coaching session. And instead of asking, close-ended question like is RM, you keep on asking the question which are open-ended, and they bring out whatever the client wants to share with you. It depends again on your question, on your set of questions. I know that they can be, all the places, and they're also, little bit. And what you can do it, you can ask them one by one. So you are talking about so many things. For example, you're talking about 1, you're talking about 2, you're talking about 3, you're talking about 4. So out of 4 things, what exactly do you want to focus on in today's session? What is, what do you bring to this session today? Which point, 1, 2, 3, 4, or A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, whatever, what would you like to discuss? What exactly? How would you like to take our session forward? So this is how you can take them, Sometimes they are not very clear. And our questions can bring clarity to the mind if we ask this kind of questions. I hope it helps.
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay.
I think Omer is in this.
Yes.
Omer is there?
It's
Yes,
Umair.
Omer. Hi, Omer. How are you?
Hi, Faiza. I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you for the session. Really appreciate it. I'll just jump straight to the 2 quick questions. One is, in your experience, what about the non-question part of the conversations that we have with a client? How do you balance with that? And just give me an open-ended comment on whatever you wish. And secondly, receiving the questions from the client. How do you, in your experience, approach those?
Okay. What do you mean by non-question part? Can you just come up with any example,
Sure. For example, when you are in that conversation with your client, not everything that we do is a question.
Yes.
There may be a comment, a remark, or here or there.
So what happens is that you take it positively, and if they do, if it comes to you, you can always answer them in a polite way that it's your call, and it's your ball how you want to play it. I mean, and you should not become judgmental. You should not react. You should respond to it. This is how I take it. And the second part was that, can you repeat that, please?
Sure. I mean, so the one part was the non-conversation part that we do. So what about the remarks we make and how much of our conversation is questions? And the second, I think you've already answered, which was when they place questions to us.
Okay. The thing is that we are not cheerleaders. Okay. We are not cheerleaders. We are not supposed to give any remarks. It's just that. Would you like to tell me something more about that? Must be hard on you. If they start crying, for example, let them. I once had a session, I'll share that with you. I once had a session, I asked the question, so what do you want to talk about? And immediately I noticed that my client started weeping. She started crying. So I was just there. I was just there for her. The session went to 3 hours. Would you believe that? And now she has become, one of the, good clients of mine. So we do not give remarks. We do not comment. We are not cheerleaders. No, we are coaches. We are not going to say, oh, good, great, oh, wow, Well, maybe once or twice, but you do not say good, great, and all that. At least I have never ever done that in my coaching sessions. I just stay with them and I just, acknowledge them, nodding my head. And okay, would you like to share something about that? Must be hard for you, must be good for you. How would you describe your feelings? You know, coach, the client would come to these questions and would come to this space. Give them space if they want to, if they need to. You are the best judge. As a coach, a person who is sitting on the coaching seat is the best judge, whether when to give space, how to give space, and how much space to give, how long the space to be given. If somebody starts crying, let them cry. They would get a tissue paper, they would get a glass of water themselves, then they are ready. Then you can ask, are we good to go? Is that okay if I carry on with the session? If she is not, or anybody else, then you need to take a break. Then it's your thing to pause and you ask the client what he or she wants. This is how I take it. Omer, I hope it helps. Thank you. Okay, Hadia. Hi, Hadia. How are you?
Hi, Faiza. Thank you so much for this talk. I was really looking forward because I actually am very confused normally in asking questions and I become nervous. So the question was that I missed the miracle question part, and I am a bit curious about. It's also called the aha question, I think.
Yes, yes.
Could
So,
you give some examples?
I'll just elaborate. The aha questions are the questions which are basically the turning point for the client. Now, what happens? That you take the client from one place to the place in their visualization. How do you feel? How would you feel if you have lost 10 kg? Okay, you're getting my point, Hadia? How would you feel? I don't know, Hadia's lost, but anyway, I'll answer.
I'm here.
Okay, you're here. Okay. When, for example, if somebody's asking me, how would you feel if you've lost 5 kg? Immediately, I would feel very happy. I would imagine myself, fitting in my older jeans, which I used to, but I cannot fit in those jeans now. And I would start, my feelings would change, my state would change, my thought process would change. And you can ask, and how would you act? I would be dancing, almost honest to God, if I fit into my old jeans, I would be dancing in the whole house. And I would celebrate that with my husband, with their family, though I'm fitting into my older jeans, and so on and so forth, depending what the client brings to the coaching space at that time. So what happens, that is a aha question, the client goes from the, what you can say, the little bit down state or problem state to that state in visualization. Visualization is so important, that you take the client to a space where they become that person they want to be, really, really, really. For example, my goal is to get a lot of money. So just imagine that you get up tomorrow morning and you have lots and lots of money in your account. Oh, even if I think about it, I feel very happy about it. So how you make the client feel, act, smell, how behave, these all words, that is our attitudes, you can say our senses start working. That is the way you take that is how a miracle question works. Now it depends on you. I've just given you the concept. It's just depends on you how you take it. Okay, thank you so much, Hadia. We have Susie with us. Yes, Susie. Hi, Susie.
Yeah, hi, Faiza. First, thanks so much for such a wonderful session. It was really good.
I'm glad.
I have a
Thank
quick question. Could you please explain a bit more about what reflective questions are?
Okay,
Thank you.
for example, let me give you an example. Let me come up with the questions that I had. My question was, are you satisfied with your working environments? Can you answer that? Where is Susie gone?
Yeah, I'm here.
Susie. So, just answer this question, please. Are you happy with your working environment?
No.
Done. Period. You're not thinking, right? Now I ask you a question. How can you make your work environment more satisfying for you?
Okay. Clean it up.
Sorry?
Clean it up.
Okay. Or what is it about your working environment that makes you feel satisfied?
Okay. So it's reflective on the question that you asked.
Yes. That is how reflective questions are made. Or what has been the most satisfactory moment for you in your working environment? Oh, when I got my award for the, for the superhero or heroine award for my work environment and all that. So the questions which takes a client a moment, they stop, immediately they're not on auto mode, yes, no, they're not on auto mode. They stop. How can you make your working environment good for yourself? Even I'm thinking now, oh, really? So these are reflective questions. I hope I answer your question. Okay.
You did. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, Umair. Yes, please.
I'm so sorry for hogging the space. I promise
No,
I'll be asking more
that's
questions.
perfectly all right.
But
Yes,
the questions that Hadi and Susie just asked, I just want to merge that and for clarification. There've been
yes.
moments where I've been in a session where the conversations went on to a series of reflective questions, and it reached an aha moment where there was a discovery that we both made sitting in that room that the actual core issue was something else. Could that still be a cusp between a reflective and a miracle question?
That depends where your client reached, actually. I'm not sure what happened during that session, definitely. And you are the best judge of that, that what happened, what question you were asking, and what was the client journey, and how you felt there was, at the core, there was something else. That was you were reading the energy, or client spoke about it. Okay. I hope that answers you. I think Umair has gone somewhere. I hope that answers your question, Umair.
Got it. Thank you, Faiza.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, Diana. Hi.
Yes, Faiza, thank you so much for this very, very informative session. I'm just
Thank you.
entering the coaching journey myself, and I understand coaching prioritize, powerful questions like what you suggested to encourage clarity, ownership, and accountability in clients, right? So that's our goal. But if we avoid offering any advice, interpretations, or even, as you mentioned, cheerleading, I'm just wondering what are the active roles left for us to play, and how do we balance that neutrality with engagements? Can you offer some high-level key pointers, maybe some even specific tools?
Okay, let me tell you, Diana. We do not give any advice. We do not give any suggestions. We are not there to give that.
Mhm.
Client is there, and it's his call or her call. You are asking powerful questions, and they would come to a point, your questions would bring them to a point where they are and where they want to be. That brings clarity to them. You do not offer any suggestions. Your client might ask, so what do you think? What do you say? So it's your call. Your map of world. It's not my map of world. How would I know what you are facing, what you are going through? How would I know as a person? Okay, you got that? All right.
Yes.
Okay, so you don't do that. I know it's little difficult in the start, definitely, but you learn with time. Don't worry, let the journey begin, keep on going and keep on growing, It's a space where you grow as a coach as well. Okay.
Okay.
I hope it answers.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Sophia with us, right?
Yes.
Okay, Sophia.
Thank you very much for the insightful session. I have a sore throat, so I just go
No,
quick.
no, that's
Yeah.
okay. That's okay. Yes, please.
I had a new client, and this morning he sort of
Yes.
called me, and
Yeah.
she was so happy that we reached the aha moment.
Okay.
And you said something about celebrate and reward yourself.
Hmm.
And I sort of like used it to ask her, so what you're going to reward yourself without, it just came out. And then
Yeah.
you gave me this insight about celebrating and
Yes,
rewarding
yes.
yourself.
Yes, yes, definitely. I always do that with my
Can you
clients. I
just give me
always
some
do
tip-
that.
Yeah, can you give me some tips? Yeah, can you give me some
Okay,
tips
so
that I can do?
sure. Yes, sure. For example, if it's a lady, you can, how would you reward yourself? And they might be a little confused. And here you can, maybe you can go out with your family for a dinner. Maybe you can get a new haircut. Maybe you can go to spa, to get your nails done, things like that. They boost the energy of a woman. And if it's a gentleman, then they might be a little confused. But going out with the family for dinner or to movies is the best way. They can reward
Yes.
themselves. These are particularly, the general ways. Otherwise, people have their own ways of celebrating and rewarding themselves. Somebody might go for shopping. Somebody might go for a long drive. There are a number of things we can come up with. So it
Yeah,
varies
thank you.
from session to session and person to person.
Thank you very
Yes,
much.
Prashant. Thank you so much, Sophia. Yes, Prashant.
Hi,
Hi.
I have a question regarding certain difficult clients. I had an experience with one of them. He's a very smart person who's in the IT industry, who leads a AI company. It was very difficult for me to get him to talk, especially because he was very uncooperative in answering questions. He was a very smart guy, and at one point he actually said I was asking very reflective questions, and he was like, why are you asking these things? Because I feel that I'm intruding into my personal space. Are you trying to gain control of what I'm saying or what I'm thinking? And I kind of need, how do you handle such people who are very skeptical? And
Yeah,
mind you,
okay.
he had if I may add, he had a traumatic experience as a child because his
Oh,
father passed away in a very bad incident when he was 12.
okay.
So I found it difficult without handling him without going into that space. So how do you handle that situation?
Okay. So, number one is that I try to build a rapport in the discovery session. Number one, I get to know, as coaches, we read energies. I'm sure you must believe in that.
Yeah.
So, in the discovery call, you get to know what the person is talking about and what is going on. You get to know. Okay. And if they say they have come from some traumatic background, then had I been in your place, I would have said, sir, I do not offer therapy. It's not my cup of tea. I'm a coach. Therapy needs therapists. Never ever take a person who has a medical issue. Please never do that. I don't do that.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Never.
I discontinued.
Yes, you did a good job. That is a sign of a good coach. That is a sign of I would say that is a sign of a great coach, Stop. I also had one session like there was a girl and I felt that there was something, when she was talking, there was something, little bit off with her. And I stopped there. I said, my dear, you're very dear to me, but I'm sorry, I do not offer medical advices or medical therapy. I'm a coach. And she cried, but please give me a session. I said, I'm sorry, I cannot do that. That is against my ethical responsibilities to which I abide. One must not do that. You did great job. You did right thing. He need to go to a medical person, psychiatrist or psychologist or a therapist, that is not for us to deal. So I hope I've answered all the questions.
Faiza, we have some questions on the chat. However, I've placed your contact details for people to reach out to you directly.
Yes, please. Yes,
Any
please.
further
Thank you so
questions
much.
that we have?
Can you please read them? Do you want me to answer them or do you want to finish off the session? It's up to you. I'm here, 5 to 10 minutes we can spare.
Right. Let's take some questions then.
Yes, please.
And then we can wind up. So we have question from Nabil here in the chat. And Nabil's question is, I'm still looking for it.
Yes, I think people who want to leave, they can leave. I mean, people are writing that they want to leave. That's okay. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. You'll be getting that question sheet with I'll be sharing that with Said. You'll be getting that.
Yes, please, Faiza.
Faiza,
Yes, please.
I don't know if this.
Okay. Okay. Nashish. I hope I'm pronouncing your name in the right way. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Your voice is breaking too much. Sir, your voice is breaking too much.
So I had a question.
Yes, please. Now I can hear you.
Is it any better? Okay.
Yes, that's okay. I could not hear you. I did not hear even one word. Yes, please.
Yeah, no, so I was saying I couldn't figure out how to raise the hand. Somehow I was struggling.
That's okay. That's okay.
But
so what is the question?
I have a couple of questions. So during questions, there are times when client, they start to ask questions to me. Does it make sense? Am I making sense to you? How do we handle? Do we continue with questions, or do we take a pause at that point in time? Or at times I also want to sort of give them the validation that it is making sense. So yeah, what would be your view on this, Faiza?
Well, what do I do in my sessions? If my client asks the validation, I just let them know, yes, you are saying that. It is okay. It is, if you are saying that, it's okay. I agree to that. I do not counter that statement. It's not my job. I'm not there to counter their statement, I validate in such a way that I am not telling them that, I validate you what you're saying. I say, okay, right, you are saying that, it must be correct for you. It must be right for you since you are saying that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a normal way to deal with that. But why would you say that, yes, you are right, or, I would avoid the words, but I usually avoid these words. And your second question, yes, please.
Yeah, my second question is, you mentioned that questioning has to be intentional.
Yes.
Can you talk a little, because when I was reflecting on it, I felt that if I'm trying to be intentional in my questions, I may also end up asking leading questions. Or maybe I don't understand the meaning correctly of being intentional in questioning.
See, you are my client and I'm the coach. Okay. So you say you have a problem XYZ. And instead of making you think to have new options or new thought processes, I would say, why don't you try ABC? Why don't you try XYZ? Why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? Do you think that's the right way? That's a leading question.
Yeah.
You got your answer? Okay. For example, you say that I can't drive. And I would ask you, what can you do to make yourself drive on the road? You will start thinking. But I would say, okay, how would you, if you start driving motorbike or cycle? Is this my place to give suggestions? No, it's your call as a client. It's your space. You need to come up that whether you want to drive a cycle, whether you want to ride a motorbike, whether you ride a bus or aeroplane or anything, it's your space. It's not my space.
Okay.
Right?
Clear.
Okay. Any other question?
That's okay. Then let's wind it up. Faiza?
Yes. Yes, please.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for being here. It was a pleasure having you all. I have shared Faiza's contact details in the chat, so please review it. You can directly send her your questions to her. And I look forward to seeing you in the next Transformational Talks. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much, everyone.